Hello, everyone. Welcome aboard to TQ Non-Profit Digital Voyage, a show where we talk about tech, social, and public good, and how you can get involved. I'm your host, Sabrina, and I hope everyone can sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. If you're ready, let's set sail. And now, on to our episode. Hey everyone, welcome to today's episode of TQ Non-Profit Digital Voyage. I'm your host, Sabrina, and today I have with me Mr. Daniel Ang from Ronald McDonald House Charity Singapore. Hi Daniel, welcome to our show.
Hi, Sabrina. Thank you for inviting me to the show.
Okay. Daniel's the Executive Director of RMHC Singapore. So, why don't you introduce yourself to our listeners and tell us more about your background?
My background, okay, yes. Hi everyone. My name is Daniel, and I've been working as the Executive Director of Ronald McDonald House Charities for the last 4 years. And I've been in the social service sector for more than 15 years. Over the years, I have seen how the sector has evolved very much. I would like to say that Ronald McDonald House Charities service is in quite a unique space because it is basically a hospitality charity. And normally we talk about charities, we are talking about being action oriented, going there to do intervention work and so on. But yet Ronald McDonald House Charities, we occupy a very niche space where we provide hospitality care and services for caregivers, young family caregivers whose children are sick and who are seriously hospitalized in the ICUs at NUH, and as well as also the outpatients and the inpatients families who are at RMHC.
I see. That's really interesting. When I first heard about RMHC, I was really surprised because it's my first time hearing an organization that provides that facilities for the families to be close to their families who are hospitalized. I think that's really, really interesting. Can you explain more about the aims and objectives of RMHC? What is the end goal, of providing these facilities and all that?
I think the end goal is really simple. And it's a very tiring and a very stressful thing to look after sick children. If you have children, or you remember when you were a child and you ever spent a few days in the hospital, well, you're all taken care of by the medical doctors and nurses. But what happened to the parents? You see, the parents who are your caregivers will probably be sacrificing their sleeps, their rest. They also be sacrificing probably regular meals, their bath, just to be at your bedside 24/7 every day. So this idea about having facilities so that the parents can stay and all these needs, physical needs, emotional needs, can be taken care of through this very simple concept of proper rest, so that they'll be in a better state of mind and well-being to look after their children when they are hospitalized. And the whole idea about this Ronald McDonald House Charities is to be near the hospital or within the hospital compound itself.
Oh, I see. Within the hospital compound itself.
Yes.
So tell me, what's the difference between the Ronald McDonald House and the Ronald McDonald Family Rooms?
Ronald McDonald House Ronald McDonald House. I welcome any one of you who are interested to see us or to visit us, to understand us more, you can always reach out to us. We are based right at NUH, Ward 46, which is the Pediatric Intensive Care Unit. And in this Ronald McDonald House, we actually have a 4-bedrooms apartment. And where the parents will be referred by the ward to us, and we will actually house them in one of the 4 rooms. And they will stay there for their physical rest needs and whatever, so that at any one time they are just a few steps away to look after their child. So this whole concept of the house, we have a very interesting tagline. We call it the home away from home. So that means to say, though you may be in a hospital, but as long as you are staying at this Ronald McDonald House charities facilities, it's like your second home. And you are looking after your child within the home context. So besides providing the room, the facilities for them, we also provide refreshment, snack, and every now and then, for example, every fortnightly, we will have a McDonald's dinner, McDonald's breakfast for them. And we also, and every Thursday, we also have tea break supported by Mr. Bean to look after the parents' needs.
I see.
And we also provide ready-to-cook meals for them so that they don't really have to worry about going to the canteen to purchase meals for themselves and so on. So all these services, hospitality care, their needs are all taken care of by us.
Wow, that's such a noble pursuit. So what's actually the story behind the inception of this program? Because RMHC is not just, in Singapore, right? It's a worldwide organization.
Yes. It's a global charity, and it started about 40 years ago. And one of the co-founders was actually a very caring pediatricians, oncology pediatricians, Dr. Audrey Evans. And because in the U.S., she was based in a hospital in Philadelphia, and people who travel to the city, to visit, to see their doctors, they may not necessarily come from within the city, and many of them may stay several hundred miles away from the city, and they have to travel great distances just to be at the hospital. So you can imagine when the child is hospitalized, besides having to incur the hospital bill, many families will also have to incur accommodations bill. They have to stay in nearby motels or hotels and so on. So that added additional cost to the parents. So out of this concern and care for the families, the doctors don't just care for the child, but she was also very concerned about the families and how this additional costs will add on to the medical burden. They approached a nearby McDonald's to support an idea to help them to build the house near the hospital. Wow. And the original idea was to ask the McDonald's restaurant near this hospital to support the fundraising campaign for them to build this house. But the idea caught on with the restaurant manager when they shared with the founder, Ray Cross. Who liked the idea so much, they turned around and say, why not we will fund this whole house, we build the house and run the whole house for the families. On conditions that you get to call it as Ronald McDonald House. So since then, the first house was built 40 years ago in Philadelphia, and from there, we have it becomes a global charity. From these global charities, right now we have about 360 over houses worldwide.
Wow.
And the goal is to build a house in every pediatric hospital in the world, so that while the hospital look after the sick child, the Ronald McDonald House will look after the family.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yes.
So tell me
another question that you asked
yes.
me. So how is this different from the family room?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so the family rooms, as you can see, space is such a premium in not just in Singapore but all over the world. Yeah. So in certain places, while they cannot afford a house, so what they do is we build the family room. You see, yeah. In NUH and in RMH, we have what we call also a family room. So, and because we can't build too big a house, because otherwise NUH will have to allocate a big space for us, and which is not really possible. So they also allocate another small space for us where we run it as a family lounge. Yeah, and this family lounge is also running 24 hours. And the big difference, the only major difference is that this family room do not have a stay-in facilities. Yeah, but we do provide an area where they can wash up, they can bathe, and so on. Yeah. Prior to COVID, we actually provide towel service and so on. Yeah. And after that, we will do housekeeping. We will, when they use a towel, we will keep it and wash it. But because of COVID, we have kind of dispensed away from that service. Yeah. So that is the major difference. And of course, some of them, they find that the sofa, the reclining chair, is comfortable enough for them to stay overnight. Suppose that if they can't get the place in the house.
Oh, I see. So going back to you mentioned, COVID changing the way that you handle things within the family rooms and the house. Can you tell us more about the challenges that you've faced in order to accommodate for these families?
Yes.
In terms of COVID, because I know that during COVID that to be able to visit a patient, it's almost impossible, right?
Yes, that's right. First, the caregivers are limited. Now, many families used to, besides the husband and wife, the hospital will normally allow their helper to be registered as one of the caregivers, and they are free to come in and out of the ICUs. But as you know, and when the COVID-19 pandemic was at its peak, for many wards, especially the adult wards, they don't even allow visitors and caregivers.
Yeah.
Okay, but but exception has been made for the pediatric ward, where they will allow at least one caregiver to be there. Yeah. So one caregiver to be there. So imagine the time for the opportunity to rotate out of the stressful period of looking after the child is even lesser. Yeah. So in that sense, they find the Ronald McDonald House, the facilities in the hospital, really a haven for them, where they can really rest, catch a nap, wash themselves up, or do anything they want. Or sometimes if they have to attend to office issues, yeah, they can just open up a laptop and there's a quiet place for them to attend to their work, you see.
Okay. So even in the family rooms you provide
yes, exactly. The only great difference about the family rooms, right, is that they don't have a stay-in facilities. Yeah, other than all right, so the parents will just have to make do and rest within the sofa.
Okay, so for the application, right, for people to apply for Ronald McDonald's House and Family Rooms services, what are the arrangements and how do you make sure
how to get to stay in the house?
Yes, how do they
we
apply?
have a point system. We work closely with the doctors. All right, the consultants at Ward 46 at NUH. So there is a point system, and very often it's based on the acuity of the child's condition.
Mm-hmm.
So the more acute the child's condition, the greater the priority the child's parents will get to stay in our facilities.
I see. So you work like directly with NUH
yes,
pediatric?
We work closely with them. Because we are lay people, we are not in the conditions to determine how exactly is the child's condition. You see, but the doctors will determine the acuity of the child's condition and make the necessary recommendations.
I see. Do you have like volunteers working with you for these programs?
Okay, this is another impact that COVID has impacted our work.
I can imagine.
Yes, in fact, our house is very much volunteer driven.
I see.
So what actually is happening is that the staff will, in a sense, will do the necessary, the planning, the supervisions, and all the necessary work to train the volunteers to get the work done. But and we used to, at its peak, we have about actually 60 to 70 volunteers. All right, some will come once a week, some will come twice a week to help man the shift. Because it's a hospitality facilities, so it runs 24/7. So we are open every day of the week, every second. So from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. is basically managed by volunteers and staff, and from 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. it's basically looked after by the security guard. That we hire. So at any one time there's always somebody at the house. So the volunteers helped out greatly, not just in the house duties, but the volunteers also help out in other programs, because besides the house and the family rooms programs where they have to attend to the housekeeping, we also have a program within the outpatients clinic. We call it the Happy Wheels card. If you recall the time, if you ever have to visit hospital to see your doctors for follow-up checkup, no children or parents will enjoy the waiting time at the waiting room, you see. And by the end of the day, which usually can take half a day or 3/4 of a day, both parents and child will be screaming at each other and so on.
It's very stressful.
Yes, it's very stressful. So what we do is we run these hospitality card services where we will serve snacks, all right, to the children, and also drinks, all right, to the children and parents, and it's all given out to them free, and that we again, because of COVID, this program has to be suspended, all right.
Oh, completely suspended for now.
Yes, because of the contact and because of the food and so on, but we are really looking for, in fact, the hospital and us, we are really looking forward to the day where MOH will allow us to run this program again, because it really impacts positively the hospital experience of the parents and the child. Imagine you were there, tired, and you're getting fugitive and bored, and then suddenly there's this beautifully colored cut. All right, coming in, and with the staff, all right, giving out free snacks, and everybody eye will be wide open. Oh my, is there something free? They don't believe it. It's still happening in Singapore. So that's one. So the COVID impacted us greatly. So this program has been there. So another program is what you call the family respite. Family respite. You see, because what we are serving is a very niche market of families with sick children. Unfortunately, some of the children their sickness are terminal, so they may not make it, you see. Yeah. But then many of these other children, their conditions, many of them are chronic cases. Yeah. So what does it mean? It means that when they leave the hospital, it doesn't mean that the caregiving of the families, all right, is done. Yeah. Caregiving of the families goes with the child back home. Yeah. And you have a chance, if you know of any friends, all right, who have children who are chronically sick, you will realize that many of them will have sacrificed themselves, all right, and neglect their self-care just to tend to the needs of the children. Yeah. And here we can talk about going for regular staycations or vacations. But for many of these children, for many of these families, vacations is a strange word. It never occurred to them to even take vacation, you see, because they just come back to leave the families, the child alone. Yeah. So the other problem about this is that, okay, not only they are not willing to leave the child alone, but the other problem is that even if they want to go for a vacation or go for a break, yeah, there's really no specialized center who are well equipped enough to be able to take in the child, all right, and look after the child maybe for 2-3 days so that the parents can have a break. You see? So they don't have that the support, you see. Yeah. But then there are also those who have chronic conditions who are very stable. So what we actually do is that we have another program called the respite care. That if they can find a place to look after the child, we will at least try to subsidize their unsubsidized portion of the payment that they have to make. Yeah. All right. So that will relieve their burden and encourage them to please go take a break, you know. And we also work with some hospitality partners, hotels, all right, to provide rooms for them so that they can go to the hotels to actually stay within the hospital. Stay in the hotels for their vacation free of charge. Yeah.
I see. Wow. Any memorable events or stories that you recall from like conducting these programs?
Oh, there's not just too many.
What are your favorite memories that you can think of right off the bat?
Okay. Well, there's just too many. Okay, I think one of the more touching one was the family who was staying with us just before the COVID. Yeah. The pandemic lockdown, circuit breaker. Yeah, and she was already with us for several months. Yeah. So which means if the child is very seriously sick, the day the child was born, the day the child was in the ICU. Yeah. Okay. In fact, the child never really make it home. Okay. But and it was really difficult, right? Because when the pandemic was at its peak, at its beginning, so there was a lot of concerns also, especially when you're based in the hospital, and the staff were concerned, and the board members were concerned, and also the global charities, also the global charity headquarters, they were also concerned, especially when by the time the pandemic hit the global charities, and in US and Europe, it was at its peak. Yeah. Then a lot of directives were being passed down to us. Yeah, that subsequently passed down to us to stop admitting new family members because the COVID was at its peak. Yeah. So immediately when the directive was implemented, within a week, 3 families move out of the house. Yeah, because the child was discharged and so on. So we kept the house open for this one family for another 1 or 2 weeks. For another 1 or 2 weeks, you see now. Yeah, and finally, reluctantly, because of the great resources to keep it open, we subsequently talked to the hospital, and we also talked to the parents, and because she's in some support group in other areas, she also realized that many global Ronald McDonald Charities Home, they have stopped taking in patients, so they were surprised that we were still holding on, Yeah. Finally, when we talk about if it's fine that if we are looking at the possibility of closing down for this period, and she understood, you see, because as a Singaporean, she said that she can easily just go home for a while. So during the period, so the sad thing is after we shut down for a week and the child passed away.
Oh, my condolences.
Okay, but what was interesting was that because the family has got to stay in our house for several months already. So the Ron McDonald House has a very special place in their heart, you see, and in the child's heart as well. So whenever the birthday of the child, so-called the and for the last 2-3 years, the anniversary of the child birth, okay, this family will actually come back to give back to the charity by donating what we call the happy snacks for other sick children. So this is another program we have where volunteers and donors will donate a lot of specially packed snacks. Initially started with on-call children, but then subsequently during COVID we expanded to all pediatric wards. So she always come back during the anniversary of the childbirth, all right, to donate happy snacks for us, so that she and the RMHC staff can distribute it to the children in the hospital. So that's really something that is really touching, that despite of the challenges that they themselves have walked through, but yet they can look beyond themselves to try to bless other people.
Wow. Thank you for sharing. That's a really touching story. So like going back, like I want to backtrack a little bit, to like your background as being in the nonprofit organization, in the nonprofit sphere for 15 years, right?
Yes, more than 15 years to be precise.
More than
50 years.
Wow, that's a really long
This will
time.
be my 20th year.
Wow, congratulations. You've done so much. I wasn't really thinking of that at all. I just wanna know what motivates you, to keep on going and giving back to this social service organizations and the sector.
Okay. After 20 years, I kind of don't ask myself these questions anymore.
Really? Why? I think it's interesting to
But
hear.
I do know one thing, all right? But what I do know one thing is that people, the sector needs a lot of leveling up, all right? And I think this is where NCSS is, I think for the last few years, I think is really moving in the right directions, in leveling up, not just the individual workers, all right, individual workers, but also the organization. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So in that sense, I always see myself that being the organizational leader, I can be in a position to help make a difference to the people who join me, all right, or who join me so that they can explore the sector. That it is a viable career. Okay, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's a viable career where they can grow professionally and also grow and develop personally. Yeah, because there are many areas that you will be challenged. Yeah, okay, you'll be challenged. Yeah, in all areas. Yeah. As for me, even myself, after 20 years, I find that the sector is evolving so fast that I realized that I have to adapt to continue to learn to all these changes. You see,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the last few years, and especially during the COVID thing, technologically, suddenly everybody is being confronted the need to digitalize much faster than they really want to. Yeah, you see. So that's one of the thing, and I do realize that as the organizational leader, the mission is always upholding the mission is always paramount to the organization. Yeah, all right. But as an organizational leader, what motivates me is that to ensure the organization is a well-run organization with a good governance and able to work closely, all right, with the board. Yeah, and then more importantly, to your ability to be able to create an environment where the people that works with you can thrive and be empowered to give their best. If you ask me, that is what really motivates me. Yeah. And I always tell my colleagues that I will look after you, you will look after the beneficiaries. Yeah.
Okay. So speaking of digitalization, right? Do you want to share like how RMHC went through with the digitalization process? Like how did the process impact your organization?
Yeah. You always thought that it can be a really expensive thing to try to digitalize things. Yeah. So as a global charities, we also sometimes people thought because we are global charities, we are very, very well supported. Yeah. Okay. And because having the name McDonald in our names,
I understand.
Yes. Yeah. Because as a separate registered entity, okay. Yeah. There's only so much McDonald can support us. You see. Yeah. In terms of administrative support. Yeah. And this support will never be questioned. We'll always take it for granted, and we'll never really question it until when suddenly, when the last few years you have you have this legislation where personal data protections becomes of importance. You see, yeah. Then you realize that who you work with also becomes very important. You see, yeah, and this is where we realize that and many of these legislations requires us to be able to comply for the sake of good governance, and that as long as we are SSA, it's good that we have to learn to become self-dependent. You see, yeah. Rather than depending on the handout of your parent company, or rather than depending on sometimes or just some kind of free services from somewhere and so forth. You see, yeah, and we used to be always looking for free licensings and so on, for many things, yeah. Unfortunately, there are still many free licensing things around. You see, but you just have to work with the right people to get things around. You see, so one of the key things that we really appreciate that when we work with Thunder Code, they were able to solve many of our digital challenges and difficulties. Yeah, and also one of the key thing when they were able to help us to migrate our Microsoft tenancy from our parent company McDonald's to become one that is independently managed by us. Yeah, that helps us to free up to be able to do a lot more things. Yeah.
I see. Okay. So before we end this call, I was wondering if you would share with us your future plans of opening a new family room. So
yes.
We hear that you're opening a you're opening a family room at the neonatal ICU.
Yes, that's right.
About the process and also like any challenges that you went through.
Yes. Okay. So we are, in fact, right now we are in the midst of we are in the midst of what I call the renovation of these new family rooms. And if you say how near is this family room to the neonatal ICU, it's actually within the ICU itself.
I see.
Yes. Okay. So if we talk about resting, now many of the neonatal babies, some of them when they come out, if they come out at 6 months or 7 months or 8 months old, you find that they are still very small. And for many parents, or even if you are first time parents, then you really will appreciate that if there's a place for you to rest, to relax for respite while you sometimes attend to your preterm babies, you see. Yeah, so the concept of the family rooms is basically what it is like the one in TQ Ward. So we are hoping we'll be able to finish construction by end of June, and we look forward to the official opening. If everything goes on well, hopefully together with the new neonatal ICU ward, we will have an official opening in August. That's for this year, yeah.
Okay. So does that mean like along with the other family rooms and Ronald McDonald House, they're starting their operations again this year?
We are all the time, or we are already open in for operation, you see. Maybe if I will talk about the closure part, the closure part was only for the period of time during that, about 6 weeks during the COVID period, that's all, for us to reset the whole thing. But since then, the last 2 years we have been operational. Yeah.
I see. Okay.
Yes.
So that's
what is
on my
neonatal ward? Neonatal ward will do is we'll be adding on to our expanded scope. Yeah. All right. And so the staff will have more challenges and look forward to do more things to serve the families.
All right. Okay. So before we end this episode, do you have any final remarks for our listeners today?
Okay. I would just say, always remember the caregivers of a sick child. Yeah. All right. Behind every sick child, there is a set of parents, right, who have sacrifices and given and lost much sleep just to ensure that the child is and this group of people, we tend to forget them because and there's really not much scaffolding that's around in the social sector to to go about helping them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I guess that's the end of our episode today.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming to our show, Daniel.
Yes.
All right. So thank you to our listeners. I'm sure our listeners can benefit from our conversation today. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see everyone in the next one. Bye.
Bye-bye.
And that was today's episode. If you enjoyed today's show, please subscribe and leave a review. It would mean a whole lot to us. You can also head over to our website at thunderquote.org to gain access to our free digital resources. See you next time!